Good God. Yeah, there was no Wi-Fi. So I'm on the phone with Cox Cable trying to figure out where the outage is in the area. And next thing you know, everything was popping back up. I think somebody in Okmulgee County's mad at me. It's happened before where like the Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi goes out. Usually somebody hits a pole or something like that. Hello in the docks. Welcome, new member. Welcome. So I apologize for that, guys, but there is nothing I can do about things like that. I don't exactly have the setup that old Jesse used to have. Goodness. Wiz said I did get a notification for YouTube that it crashed. Oh, it did. Yes, it did. It certainly did. DT says worries me. Nope, everything's fine. This wasn't OJ this time. Wendy said it was probably me being all salty and offended. Who knows? Nah, we're all good here. Now, usually when the screen stops sharing, that's on OJ because he loves to walk across the keyboard to get on my nerves during the show, particularly some shows. There's some shows he just hates. But he didn't bother this one. All right, I'm going to put the link up and we're going to get back to it. Carol said, I knew OJ was innocent. I know. I'm going to get him a little toy Bronco to ride around the house in. Tamara said, it's okay when it's OJ. When OJ does it, we're all good. No, I feel bad. We had a bunch of people in here and this happened. If I knew how to forecast those things, I would tell you guys in advance. Where Summer said, I believe there was maybe some filming going on in that home myself. Yeah, me too. But then you have Okmulgee County just wanting to shut it down, saying, yep, what we've had here is a M/S. No one to arrest because the person that did all of this happens to be in hell now. So we can't really arrest him. But what they need to do is a very thorough investigation. Very thorough investigation. Y'all said, look at all the pooters. All right, let's pick up where we left off. I apologize. So, I used the same thumbnail, and sometimes sloppy things like this happen. Fun to ski, thank you. Did they make their money on the dark web? I have a feeling there's a Linux system in there somewhere, don't you? Somehow the rent was getting paid. Somehow there was food in the cabinets. I think I saw a Bloody Mary mix out. All of that's got to be paid for somehow. I wonder how.
I just want to give you this warning. They're about to take you on a tour through this home, and it is very, very uncomfortable, but you will learn a lot about this Jesse McFadden and what he may have done before killing those kids and his wife. Take a look.
The phone or phone case with like the screen ghost face on the back.
Okay. I don't know.
There's a
I
phone.
don't know the answer. I don't care what you know.
Yeah, yeah, those are Tiffany skates.
Tiffany's bad print is the cow print.
And the cow slippers over here.
Mm-hmm.
Smells.
This is in Tiffany's bedroom. Nucky was in here and she said, that's in Tiffany's bedroom. That's in Tiffany's bedroom. They're like, see the cow prints and everything? This is Tiffany's bedroom. So why do you have that in Tiffany's bedroom? Why? The hell is going on? Good morning, Amanda. How are you, honey?
Good morning. I'm good. How you doing?
Good. I'm just trying to figure out how all of this carnage could happen. And people are still being defensive of Holly. You know, I got a lot of hate mail after the last show. People said, you know, you're victim shaming. Did I say anything about Ivy, Brittany, Riley, Tiffany, or Michael? No.
Nope.
I'm talking about Holly, who I believe is a predator, Jesse, who we know is. And what I'm saying is, Holly's family is going to have to come to the realization, and I feel bad for them, that she was in on this.
I agree. I mean, I'm even starting to wonder about the paid actress bit. How do
Me
we
too.
know Holly wasn't just stating that to her parents or
That shit
saying
didn't
that?
happen. That shit didn't happen. The only actress around here is Kristen Chenoweth, and she's busy. She wouldn't do something like that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that doesn't make no sense. And I believe she was into things a lot more than what her family knew. And they don't want to accept
Mm-mm.
that about her.
Hands down, this list of people, I'm going to say, because I don't want to upset anybody, but you know, the ages of the people, okay, was in her handwriting.
Yeah.
Okmulgee County needs to clean it up. Clean it up. I understand that they weren't exactly living on the main street. I get that. I get that. Somebody knew
It
there was
just
something going on in that house, and I want to know more about the landlord.
I agree totally. I have my eyes on that. That landlord knew a lot more, and he probably allegedly was more involved in the situation. He was probably doing whatever they're doing along with them, in my opinion. Because
Well,
how could you not know all this was going on your property? There's no, it makes no sense.
I will say this, when you rent to someone, you can't just go poking around the house all the time.
Yeah.
We rent, and the only time I have ever seen a property manager, a landlord, whatever you want to call them, is when they were selling the condominiums. They came by and that was it. I mean, and that's been 2 years. Is it 2 years? Yeah, 2 years. So that is one thing. But I thought it was sketch, sketch, sketch. That over the weekend, he tells everyone, go in there and get whatever you want because I'm going to put everything in dumpsters. Would you not
Not,
call the police and say, hey, I'm about to clean out the sex dungeon?
go
No,
get
you would
what you
ask the
want.
police.
Another thing that's weird too is the digging of that pond or lake or whatever they were building.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't the landlord be suspicious of that?
And who exactly was doing it? See, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what I want to know is he had to have known something was going on for that to be digged up.
It's his property, I would assume. He would want to know, unless it was him doing it. I mean, and it's not uncommon for people to expand their ponds in this area. They'll use them for catfish farms and things like that. So
Oh,
if
okay.
it was any other situation, I wouldn't think anything of it. But this one, a little different.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, if he wasn't doing it and somebody else was, why wasn't he coming around saying, what are you doing? So
Mhm.
maybe he did know what was going on, possibly. But still yet, I mean, there's bodies more likely that's in that water. And you're not knowing?
Mhm. Yeah,
I,
what's
I've
going on? And, I mean, he's a lunatic to say, "Go in there and get whatever you want," because what's he gonna just turn around and rent it back out? No, he's out of his mind. This is a crime scene. You don't have just 7 bodies and, say, "You know what? You can go ahead and rent it back out." Chica said, "Brooks, did you see that they also found a 4-inch stack of Polaroids?" No, I did not. No, I did
yeah,
not.
I think they found that with along with the blood on the baby's clothing.
It's a lot to take in. We'll get to that in a second. It actually is in the next clip because my God, my
Mm-hmm.
God. And most of the time, people like Jesse can't rent anything. I'm going to hedge my bets and say that Holly rented the house.
Probably to hide him because
Hide
she
him.
knew.
She knew
Yeah,
she had to have known.
she knew exactly what he was about, and she was all in with it.
Mhm.
I don't care what anyone says.
Nope.
She knew.
Let's take a poll. Let's take a poll in here, guys. I know we lost a lot of people because my Wi-Fi went out, but it's okay. We're still going to do a poll. Who thinks that Holly knew all of this? And I've heard 2 different stories about the rental agreement. I've heard it's in Holly's name, and I've heard it's in his name. Not his name, his mom's name. I've heard 2 different stories from 2 different networks. I haven't seen the lease agreement, but either of those scenarios would make sense to me. Miracle said she was in on it. Reggie, she did. Slim, Holly knew. Bama went as far as to say she enjoyed it as much as he did.
Mm-hmm.
Hot Mess said she knew from what I've seen so far. Mhm.
I think she was into the narcotics too.
Oh, 100%. 100%. 100%.
I mean, using your own kids to do all this sick, perverted junk.
Mhm. And these women who find these men will be patient with me, everybody, because I know some people aren't going to like this. Will use their own children to lure them in. They will use their own children to lure other children in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a known fact.
You know which? Oh my God. What? On the floor over there?
This is a huge. I see guys. Get the fuck up right here. Is this not it?
This is the room. Do you remember when they said that they were making?
Okay, Holly's also not a very good housekeeper. Let me look at this again. What is that?
I don't know. That's weird. Maybe it has something to do with a computer or something. I don't know.
Anybody know what that is?
Or maybe a camera, something to do with a camera setup.
Ava said it's a massage gun.
Oh,
A
I'm
massage.
sorry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lordy, help me.
Mm-hmm. Oh my
Well,
Lord. Massage gun. Okay. Well, we already saw the other massage gun. And you could
yeah.
use that on I mean, and an Arabian horse would feel it.
Ooh, God.
I see this. Get the fuck up right here. How is this not right?
This is the room. Do you remember when they said that they were making Riley sleep on their bedroom floor? Where was she sleeping at? There is no room on that floor. And then here, come over here and you know what to.
Give me something to grab.
Take a picture.
Take pictures.
It's on video.
That's them.
It's on.
Hey, that's them.
Okay.
Here, use this sack. Don't keep locked there.
No, those
No,
locks.
that's evidence too.
So is those
We
drugs.
just bought those.
Is
That's
that
it.
hers?
Yep. Okay. Hold on.
Call the sheriff.
Yep.
Don't touch them. Don't move them.
Let's back out.
That's good.
Okay. I'm
Call the
calling.
chief.
I'm calling him.
Smokey.
Are you done looking?
No.
No. I'm not done looking, but that's evidence.
Okay.
He used our daughter's cell phone.
And whatever's behind that.
Yep. Okay.
And they're not concerned about looking anywhere else.
Obviously.
This house needs to be stripped. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, so we know what that is. I'm going to go back to it. Turn back time. How you doing, sweetie? Said these girls will get no justice because the coward killed himself. Is that how it works? Well, for the murders, there's not going to be any justice. But if they do their homework and conduct a proper investigation, which the OSBI will, it's not going to be quick. It's not going to be easy because I have a feeling there's multiple people involved in this. People like Jesse have a entourage. I'll put it that way. He knows other people like him.
Mm-hmm.
And so there will be justice, but they're going to have to find all the victims in this. It's a ring.
Do me a favor.
That's coming, so don't touch anything.
No, that's what I was telling you.
But we touched everything today because we had permission from the sheriff.
But we didn't touch the phones.
But I was not in the state when this happened, so.
Okay, so we clearly saw crime scene tape last week because it's been all over my local news. So I don't know who's saying there was no crime scene tape. It was everywhere. So I just heard her say we had permission from the sheriff. Then you have the owner of the property telling people, if you want your stuff, if you want something out of there, go get it or it's all going to the dumpster. Who suddenly deemed this clear and not a crime scene? I want to know who. Was
I
it
can't
the
believe
sheriff?
we cleared this.
No. It should have been locked down. There should have been a deputy outside, and they should have started taking inventory of everything in that house and taking it to the crime lab in Oklahoma City or in Tulsa. That's what they
And the
should have
fam
done.
yeah, and the family shouldn't have took nothing out of there.
Mm-mm.
Not one item should have been taken out.
And I get it. They're going through and they're saying, this is evidence. This is evidence. And the OSBI took everything over. They're furious. They're like, are you kidding me? You didn't lock down the crime scene? They're livid. They're
And
livid.
that's why I have this strange feeling there's a lot more important people involved in this. Higher ups
Mm-hmm.
that they're trying to cover for.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
Somebody knows somebody. That's for sure.
So we're getting pictures of all this, honey.
Mhm.
This man was a freaking monster. And his wife was too.
This one's my daughter's. I want to know what else is up here and in here. I think there's more. There's computers.
Somebody's tablets.
You know.
Well, did you notice the ring?
The ring?
See that ring? The wedding ring right there?
Oh, I thought you were saying camera. God, that would have been great.
Is this on video?
Yeah, I'm just getting all the stuff up there.
Well, I mean, I didn't say too much of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but there's a big old machine. Too.
but it's a weapon. So
And it's in here
should
with all this sexual paraphernalia.
And then those were right there. They obviously didn't look too hard.
No.
Look, is that another phone? What is that?
Dear God. What the hell is that? V. Oakley said, no, I mean, had a cop and guard outside of it. They should have. Nobody should have been allowed inside this house. And that goofy ass landlord saying, well, go get what you want out of there because if not, I'm just going to put everything in the dumpster. Really? Look at all the sex paraphernalia. Look at the drug paraphernalia.
Hell, the landowner should be in trouble for telling people to come in there and mess with a crime scene.
Yes, he should. Yes, he should. Just because it's his house doesn't mean it's not a crime scene.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Look, hey, that one's still on. That computer, whatever that tablet thing is.
Yeah, it's on.
And not only that,
A syringe
the needles.
and needles?
Hey.
Oh my.
That's cocaine works. It's gotta be.
So look.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television.
Oh, you bet, Beigefield. Oh, you bet. This is horrific.
I feel like how he got these girls to keep coming back is he got them addicted to a narcotic. I feel, in my opinion, he probably let them have all kinds of narcotics and alcohol and all this stuff, and they were all thinking it's cool, and maybe he didn't start doing things to them at first, and then it got to the point where he started doing things to them.
Well, considering the horse-sized dildo and the lotions and lube,
Yeah.
you would have to knock someone out to do things to them.
I totally agree. And that's why I'm just saying in the area of them going back is because they were thinking this was fun and cool and all this. And they got addicted to what he was giving them.
Which would be easy to do.
Yeah. But I still don't understand, and people may not agree with me or whatever, but this is my opinion. I don't see how those parents allowed their kids to go over there not knowing this man and them even claiming they had a weird feeling about him. I don't understand that.
I'd like to know too. I'd like to know too. I really thought it was someone that I just assumed, and that's what happens when you assume, makes an ass out of you and me. That they had just recently became friends with Tiffany and they started hanging out together. This went back 2 years. So in 2 years, nobody went and looked at the house where the kids were hanging out all the time because they said Tiffany was at their homes. The kids would go to Tiffany's home and back and forth.
It makes, I don't understand it.
Christina said, does Holly have a record? Hang on, let me look real quick.
That's a good question.
I looked the other day and she didn't, but things could have changed. Let me see. Here's Holly's record. Again, it took 2 seconds to do this. This is Holly's record. McLean County protective order against Virgil Blake Guess. She had a couple of people come after her for a bill. Then we have a divorce. This must, then we have petition for dissolution of marriage, then a marriage license, and then speeding. That's it.
Another thing I'm trying to understand is they had fathers. Didn't the fathers even come to go visit them?
Well, and that's a good question. Actually, I'm going to put that video up right now of one of the father, and he's beside himself. But you have to look at this because it's a really strange situation. And I'm going to look up these fathers while we're looking at that.
Okay.
V. Oakley said it. She just wasn't caught yet. That is the thing. When these people get caught, it's never the first time. And that's what really gets me about Jesse in 2003. That attack was so horrific. They didn't think that that woman would ever be able to have children. By the grace of God, she has. That's how horrible that attack was. That couldn't be the first time.
You know, another thing that went through my head is I think they both planned to want to be unalived. I think Holly wanted to be unalived with him because she knew all this stuff was going to come out and she would end up in prison herself.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking these two Hollies are different people. You have McLean County, Seminole Wewoka, McLean again. Because she goes by Holly, Tanette. Oh, there is a Lynette in there. Because Holly B wouldn't be her. So Holly and David are different people. Those two that got divorced, leave them out of it. I don't care about the credit card bills. So this Holly Lynette and Virgil. That's who I got to look at. All right, let's look at this. Sorry, I'm talking out loud, thinking out loud. Isn't that how you say it?
Yes.
Unbelievable story. Just the facts alone, let alone what we're learning just tonight on this program. I am joined now by Joe Guess. He is the father of the youngest victim, 13-year-old Tiffany Guess. He has his friend Sunny Summers with him for moral support. Joe, I am just so sorry for you and what your family is dealing with and going through. Have you heard any more information or details from authorities about this crime?
No, I've got one phone call, and that phone call was yesterday saying they found 7 bodies, and that's the only thing I've heard.
Who was it that made that phone call?
It was some investigator down there at the property, but that's all I know.
And an investigator was able to inform you of the fate of your daughter?
They said just 7 victims. They didn't tell me who it was.
How did you find out?
Facebook, the news online, and Holly's mother finally said or posted that it was the kids when they said on there confirmed.
So you've had no outreach, no contact from authorities in any way, even just for emotional support in this terrible crime?
No, not at all.
I am so sorry to hear that, Joe. Did you know anything about this perpetrator, this stepfather of Tiffany's, Jesse McFadden? Did you know anything about his history as a registered sex offender and as a rapist?
No, because my daughter would not have spent a second in the house. I would have brought the whole damn police force with me, or I would have drug him out by the nape of his head.
Holly never mentioned anything at all to you about this.
No, the only thing we ever talked about was at the beginning of their relationship. We had an understanding that no one would be around the kids unless we both agreed upon it, and we did a background check, and we were okay with it. I asked if there was a background check. She said yes, nothing was there.
So you were lied to about the background, because as we're learning now from the children's grandmother, Jan Mayo, Holly did find out about the criminal background, but unfortunately, this
She was lied to
beast,
herself.
Jesse McFadden hired an actress to lie to her to say that she was the rape victim and that it was all a misunderstanding. Do you think that's why Holly didn't tell you?
I don't know. I know that from the bottom of my heart, I know that if any one of them would have told me anything, I would have been there.
I don't know. Brooks says, okay, you have an SO registry. Yes, they do. They do. And people keep saying he wasn't on it. I don't know. But I mean, is this not enough? Here's his record right here. I don't understand why all these people keep saying background check, background check, background check. It's right there. It's public record. It's right there.
I'm trying to bite my tongue so hard about him because she told him she did why wasn't you doing a damn background check? Where in the hell were you?
He breaks my heart. He really does. But is he ignorant? Does he not know that this is all public in Oklahoma?
And you're just going to go by her word of mouth that he's this or that. You're not going to go and check for yourself?
I mean, it took me 2 seconds. When it hit the news last week, I had this pulled up in 2 seconds. Chelsea said, I'm trying to get Brooks's attention to read his charges. I don't know if she knows about the brother or not. The brother's just as bad. I think the brother needs to be looked at into connection with what was going on at the house. You're exactly right, Chelsea.
Yep. Yep.
You're exactly right.
Oh, he was I feel he was involved with it too, as sick as he is.
Oh, the brother knew. That was probably his favorite hangout.
You there? Hello.
It's StreamYard that's the problem. Thank you, Kathy. Kathy says, I love your voice and content. Well, thank you. A Wolf said it's OKC shutting the truth down. Fight the power, Brooks. I know. What the hell's going on? Pug Mom says there's probably more people. Yeah, it's just StreamYard. All right, let's get back to it.
Been there. I don't care. Ex-wife not. I'd have been there.
What was your last communication with your daughter, Tiffany?
It was last Thursday. I talked with her a little bit after as I was talking with Holly. The kids were talking and talking to me in the background. All the kids. I don't care. The older two aren't biologically mine, but I was there since Riley was 1, and Michael James wasn't even born, and we were married 13 years.
Those are
my
all his kids. They all look to him as daddy.
So this is an additional blow. I didn't know that. I didn't know you had a close relationship with the other kids, Riley and Michael, and you had a chance to speak on the phone.
Yeah. And matter of fact, it wasn't even a few months ago. Me and Holly were still talking about possibilities of me going through the legal system and still adopting the older two.
Even though she had married Jesse McFadden?
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts as to why she might have been thinking that you could adopt the children when she was married to someone else?
Because we've been working on it for over 10 years.
How manipulative is she? How manipulative is she? She is still working on him to adopt the children, and she's married to someone else. DT says, Brooks, I think some people don't truly understand how easily someone can get public criminal records. And that's true. That's true. I'm being very fair here. Slim says, how does it take 10 years to adopt? I'm going to assume that's in Holly's world. That's in Holly's world. I have a feeling Holly, I think there is another side to Holly that is going to start coming out. She's like another Letitia with a fetish for kids.
They loved him. They didn't look at nobody else as their daddy. This is their daddy right here.
They came to me the last season of During Trek and was like, Dad, we know you're not our biological dad, but we don't care. You're our dad.
So Riley and Michael called you dad as well?
Yes.
I am just so sorry for what you're going through. This is just, it's such a tremendous, I mean, it's an unimaginable loss that what's happened. At this point, do you hold anyone responsible for having let Jesse McFadden out of prison? It looks like 3 years early, while a crime had been committed in prison, a crime that was similar to the crime he committed that got him into prison.
Yeah, he never should have been let out. The legal system completely failed. And not to mention, where's the sign? Where's the pink light? Where's all the indicators of somebody that's supposed to be a registered sex offender?
Somebody dropped the ball. Joe was kept in the dark. He didn't know anything about this guy's past. We didn't know anything about this guy's past until yesterday when it started popping up. And we're learning more and more about it in real time right now on the interviews you're doing, that people that knew about it, but yet for months and kept it privileged to their little circle and didn't tell Joe anything about it.
I imagine it might have been new information tonight that this sex offender had hired an actress to tell your ex-wife and the mother of your kids that there was no sex offense at all, that she was the pretend victim and that it was all a misunderstanding.
I never knew Holly found out anything, and I never knew about a lie. I never knew about portraying nothing. I never knew about any of it.
When they found out what the public record was, and they knew that he was a sexual offender, and they knew that he had been in jail for all those years for rape, somebody should have told this man so he could protect his daughter and his kids. All three is his kids.
What would you like, Joe? What would you like us to all know about all three of those kids, Riley, Michael, and your daughter, Tiffany?
Well, they were taken from me too soon, but the best moments of my life. My oldest Riley was amazing, great artist. All the time asking if she could just draw me something. My son, always excited about showing me a new video game and talking for hours about video games and engineering and building this and building that. My youngest, straight A student, most amazing, sweet, kind person. Doesn't matter where I'm at, what I'm doing, she'll come running and jump in my arms. Daddy.
Track
and
star.
I'll never get it again.
Daddy's girl, track star. Fun-loving kids, man. Fun-loving, good kids.
We're looking at the pictures. We're looking at the pictures of them, and they really are beautiful children. And I am just so sorry, Joe, for your loss. My heart goes out to you tonight, and I hope you learn more information from the authorities in the coming days. And Sonny, thank you for being there for Joe, for his moral support. Again, our thoughts and our prayers are with you tonight, both of you. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for bringing light to this story, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you for watching.
Dear God. I agree with Melanie. 2 words: blind faith. If someone tells you, oh, I did a background check, everything checked out, do your own. This is 2023, and you can poke around. It's not even about a public record. It's not even about public. You can find news clips on Jesse from back in the day. Joe was probably still enamored with her. He was probably still in love with the woman. He believed everything she said. I've been working on adopting him for 10 years. Who knows what Holly was telling him? You're going to find a different side to Holly than what has been presented by a few other people. And I'm not dogging on them because they're taking up for, their family member. But they're going to have to start processing that there is a different side to her. There's a different side to her, for real. Goodness. Oh, Lord. All right, let's look at what came out overnight. And it just gets more disturbing and more disturbing. And here's the thing. We're a week in. We're a week in. More's gonna come out. Chelsea said, why didn't he ever go inside that house when pickup and drop-offs? I mean, I want to know that too. I've got a lot of questions the problem is when someone's child has been murdered, you have a lot of questions, but you have to be respectful in the same turn. Because it's just the right thing to do. But I have a lot of questions. A lot. I mean, if I told one of you, hey, don't worry about it, I did a background check, you'd be like, well, where's it at? Let me see it. Oh, it was all clean. Well, what'd you see on it? Nothing. There was nothing on there. Oh, really? You didn't see a name and date of birth? I mean, you would have seen something. No, you'd be like, well, where's it at? Dustin, grab the link, my friend. Come on up. There's other victims, and I'm not saying that they're deceased, but other things have happened to children that have come around them. For sure.
Be found. But how is it that you and your family were able to get back into that home and discover yet even more evidence?
On Friday, the landlord, as we were planning the funeral, notified us that we had 3 days to get on the property or everything was going to go in a dumpster this Monday. We stopped the funeral, and myself, Holly's godmother, and her godmother's daughter, just the 3 of us, went to the house. And we found 5 phones. We found a notebook ledger with the names. We just found other things, and that's the other family members come. The police came. Yeah.
Okay, let's absorb this. We found 5 phones and the notebook with names. And the names. Dustin said, cannot, sorry, we're a newspaper company and our journalist told us about the evidence. Okay, you don't have to. All right, so let's just do a poll. How many phones do you have? Working phones. How many working phones do you have? One, 2. A lot of people have a personal phone and then they have their work phone. My husband has 2. I have 1. OJ isn't old enough to have a phone. Okay, Juicy, 4 for the family, but not in your purse right now. I mean, personally, you yourself.
godmother and her godmother's daughter. Just the three of us went to the house. And we found 5 phones. We found a notebook ledger with the names. We just found other things. And that's the other family members come, the police came. Yeah, we found a lot of horrifying things, but
Can you explain, Lynn, a little bit more about the ledger? Whose handwriting was it and what was in the ledger?
Just names and ages, like numbers. I didn't recognize, but I knew it was something important. We did turn over the police. The most probably disturbing evidence I found that day is I pulled the dresser out, and behind it was a towel with duct tape all around it, and I pulled it, and it was restraints, Velcro restraints, unlike the other restraints, which was laying all through the house. This one was taped to the back of the dresser.
Restraints taped to the back of the dresser. Nothing to see here. Gamer said the phones make me think drug dealer. I don't get into what people do in the bedroom and what kind of kinky stuff they get into, but this is beyond. Dustin, can you send me an email? I'm going to put my email right here. Because I don't know how to get a hold of you. Because if this just keeps getting worse, it does. It does.
I asked the deputy that was on the scene if he wanted it. He said, "This is not an active crime scene. It's solved. If you don't want it, put it in the dumpster." And I begged.
This is what this is what the deputy told you over the weekend. You found additional restraints that very well could have had DNA of potentially other victims on it.
Bachefield is right. So they're like, it's solved. We get that the murder is solved, Barney Fife. We get it. We understand that the murder is solved. We understand all of that. But there's a list of names. There's restraints around the house. Children were allowed to come over there. You see, this is not normal. What you're seeing on the screen is not normal to have in a bedroom. You see, this right here is not normal to have in a bedroom. Of a child. It's not. This is not normal. This is not a common thing to have around your house. This is not common. Nucky's back. Nucky said yes, and he used the phone.
I begged him, "Please take this." I said, "Please take this. It's not like the chains. They weren't laid out. They were taped behind a dresser." He said, the victims are dead. The perpetrator's dead. If you don't want them, ma'am, put them in the dumpster. I said, "Why would
What
I
did you end
want
up
them?"
doing with them?
I put them in a garbage bag. On that day, in fact, I had told by the police I had to leave or he was going to arrest me. When I asked for what, he said, "We're not leaving." I was like, "I have permission to be here." But
you know, and God bless her. This is the victim's aunt, Holly's aunt. And she's having to see all of these things in Holly's house. I just really, it's going to dawn. It's going to dawn on them at some point that Holly was down with the sickness, if you know what I mean. She was down with it. She had no problem with the steel hook in eyes in the wall. You have lube around the house. This is just laying around like nobody's business. Brinks, locks, and chains. So what's going on here, Holly? I understand that you're not around to tell us, but there's a different side to Holly.
But we left and we returned the next day and nothing could prepare anyone for what we had to find.
Can you tell me a little bit more, Lynn, about what you found under the floorboards?
The first set of clothes wasn't in the floorboards. Wadded up his head in the closet. The first pair I pulled out was just some bloody shorts. But the second, and to me, the dry blood was obvious, but it was the second pair of little underwear. The fluid was.
She's going to need counseling. She's going to need counseling. All of this should have been bagged up with evidence tags, taken to the crime lab in Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Dallas, Kansas City, Little Rock. Because you have to find out whose fluid and blood is on it. Miracle said they should have never seen all of this. No, they shouldn't. This is not for the untrained eye. This is not something that someone who is not experienced in these things can come across and just say, funny thing is, I saw all these restraints and little underwear with fluid on it. It was the strangest thing. It doesn't work that way. You have to have trained professionals. And if they're trying to cover it up, why did they leave the crime scene open? Why didn't they clean it up and move along and just say, we didn't find anything in there? I think it's the same old, same old. It's shoddy police work.
Yeah, we put those in garbage bags. We went back to get as much evidence out before my brother and the grandmother got there. When the OSBI got there, I gave my interview and I said, no one should have to see what I say. No one had to collect what I had to. I'm not a crime scene investigator. I'm not a police officer. I should not have had to see those things. I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating. OSCI was amazing, but that's just, there was just a lot of stuff that in time I really want to sit down and talk to someone about. I need to be sensitive to the victims, my own family members. Some don't even know. I stepped on a hypodermic needle. I got.
Lynn, can I ask you about the nature? I know this is extraordinarily difficult, But it is so critical, this evidence, because there may be other missing children out there.
Absolutely.
Can you tell
And
me
that
the
is,
nature of the Polaroids, the 4-inch stack of Polaroids?
there was a lot of pictures, not just Polaroids. I found probably 4 binders. They're about this thick. I started opening them up. The first thing was Jesse McFadden's psychological evaluation. Oh, I'm just trying to be so sensitive. I don't even know if I can publicly say some of the things that it can be on TV. Oh, I don't know how to say it.
Were the pictures of children, and were they sexual in nature?
I don't want to talk about it. Okay.
I understand.
I promise.
Were you able to turn those photographs over to the police?
I turned everything I found. I turned over correspondence with other inmates. I turned everything over that I could find.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television.
You've got to be kidding me. I'm surprised Beigefield didn't say, do you happen to have them with you? We can just put them up here on the channel? Christina, thank you. Christina said, other inmates? Yeah. It's kind of a big deal with high-level felons like Jesse, that they're not to talk to other felons. They're not supposed to do it. Thank you, Snazzy, for the super sticker. Snazzy said, a surviving child could have been found in a closet or under the floor. The fact Ellie didn't search is very disturbing. Why would they not search for possible survivors after finding 6 dead? I don't know what they did. I mean, when they went there to investigate, I don't know. I know they wanted it closed as soon as possible, and they left the crime scene wide open and just said, yeah, go get what you want out of there. Did they not see the Polaroids? Did they not see this? Did it not ring in their little brains that there could be way more to this than just 7 bodies, which is horrific? There's more going on. There's way more going on. From my understanding, it's about a 5-acre plot. I don't get it. I just don't. I mean, I get law enforcement doesn't want things like this going down under their watch, but clean it up. You got to clean it up. When they went in that house, they saw all the same things that the victim's family saw. So why didn't they decide to investigate further? That's the question. If they're trying to cover it up, those things wouldn't have been seen. The computers wouldn't be sitting there. Sounds like we just have some real dumbasses on our hands for right now. It's beyond crucial. Hold on one second. Miracle said, look at the location of Henrietta and surrounding areas filled with drugs and an easy town to get drugs to. Highways all around, easy to kidnap kids. Ellie isn't stupid. They're not stupid, but why would they leave these things behind? Why would they let the victim's family come in and say, we're done with the area, and they see something like this? You're telling me that that did not raise some sort of alert for them? I'm really confused about this. I mean, you walk upon the house. Here's the house. Looks like just like a normal house just like a normal house in Oklahoma. You have a storage unit there. What the hell is in it? I'd love to know. It's not a hay barn. I'm going to assume there's a lawnmower in there because someone's cut the grass lately. But I have a feeling there's some other things in there. And then you come to things like this. You're telling me that they left that behind for the victims' families to find? Polaroids, the whole 9 yards? Soiled underwear that no one in the house could possibly fit into? I don't get it. That's a lot of electronics. And I mean a lot. As Okmulgee County just left that? They just left it and said, oh, go get what you want out of there. They didn't think to look through the electronics, considering the restraints all around the house. And when people are like, well, why is OSBI taking over? Because they had to. They had to. These people shouldn't be allowed to give out traffic tickets. They need to go through all their financials. Exactly, Carol. Look at that storage unit they rented. They need to go through everything. Everything. Because there's other victims out there. He said, what would that accomplish? Now, I get it. I get it that Okmulgee County is saying, look, they're dead. That's it. That's all we know. The guy that did it, he's gone. Sword said, yeah, the door punched. Glenjamin said, oof. Autopsies, that would be nice. Yeah. Miracle said, y'all keep fighting. You're going to figure it out. Whatever you don't, whatever. Don't stop. Y'all are going to bring Ellie down. You know, I don't want to bring law enforcement down, to be quite honest. Law enforcement in that county, I do. Because it's been a disease in the state of Oklahoma for umpteen years. I actually back the blue. 100%. I know you guys do too. And I know what you're saying, Miracle. I'm not picking on you. What is going on here is a different story. Why did they let that family in there if they were trying to cover it up? Because they're not that dumb. There's a much bigger story here. And if the names that keep being suggested to me are involved, well, then I hope OSBI and Oklahoma Internal Affairs get involved with a quickness. Passing the buck. They said they were only there to search the property, that the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, they were supposed to search the house. Then why did anyone go in the house? This has only been a week. Everybody wants answers. Everybody wants answers. But they're going to pass the buck. Well, there's a mobile command center there right now, and nobody's getting on that property now. It was their job as local jurisdiction to make sure nobody did anything. And it certainly wasn't the landlord's job to tell anyone, go get what you want. Because I'm putting everything in a dumpster on Sunday. No. No. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Hang on, I'm trying to load something. And it's not working out. And yes, the bodies were staged, they were posed. So that's something to look into, right?
My name is Joe Prentice, and the spelling is Joeprentice. I am police chief for the city of Okmulgee, and I also command the District 25 Violent Crime Task Force. With me is Carol Iskey, our district attorney, who sponsors the Violent Crime Task Force, and Sheriff Eddie Rice, who was one of the reporting agencies when this investigation started. I've got a brief statement that I'll read, and then I'll open it for questions and answer the questions that I can. As you know, Ivy Webster was reported missing to the Okmulgee County Sheriff's Office, and Brittany Brewer was reported missing to the Henrietta Police Department on Monday morning. I received a request shortly after to activate the Violent Crime Task Force. The task force began the investigation, and as part of that, obtained a search warrant for the property on Holly Road. Because of the extremely large size of the property, we requested assistance from the OSBI. During the search, the bodies of 7 individuals were recovered. All were sent to the medical examiner for autopsies, and those examinations have been completed. Scientific identification has been obtained on all 7 of the individuals, and I have information regarding their injuries. That being said, it is important to remember that all of this information is extremely preliminary, and no official reports from the medical examiner's office have been issued. The injuries include Ivy Webster suffered 1 gunshot wound to the head. Brittany Brewer suffered 1 gunshot wound to the head. Riley Allen suffered 1 gunshot wound to the head. Tiffany Guess suffered 2 gunshot wounds to the head. Michael Mayo suffered 2 gunshot wounds to the head. Holly McFadden suffered 3 gunshot wounds to the head. And Jesse McFadden appears to have shot himself in the head. I'm assisting the Violent Crime Task Force with the search, the crime scene, and the investigation were the following agencies: the Okmulgee County Sheriff's Office, the Henrietta Police Department, Henrietta Fire Department, OSBI, ATF, and the Muskogee Nation AG's office. That concludes my statement. I will answer any questions that I can.
Chief, when do you believe that these killings happened?
I don't know. Based on the investigation, we believe that the girls were spotted in Henrietta on Saturday night. Beyond that, I can't tell.
Were the victims found in one spot?
No.
Whereabouts were they found?
Ivy, Brittany, and Riley were found separately, approximately 150 to 150 yards apart from each other, and approximately a quarter of a mile southeast of the McFadden residence.
Do we think they ran away?
I don't have any evidence to indicate that, but there's no way to know.
And the other two victims?
Well, there's more than just two more. The other four decedents were found together approximately 450, 500 yards east and a little bit south of where the three girls were found. And they were all together.
Okay, so he's answering the questions as much as he can, but it was staged. And a lot of people have questions when there's a crime in Oklahoma about reservations. They have questions about the tribal authority, Native Americans, and things like that. Most of the state are Indians. Most of Oklahomans are. And if it is a tribal crime, the tribes will take care of it. This dude wouldn't be involved.
Was anyone able to call 911?
As far as I know, there was no 911 call made.
And do we believe that all these killings happened around the same time?
I don't have any evidence to indicate otherwise.
Chief, what led you guys to getting that search warrant? Because Emmy's office was there immediately with you guys when you guys were doing that. Was there, you guys start the property that morning because he was the person you're looking for and stumbled across something and then back out like normal and ask for a search warrant?
Something very similar. That morning, deputies and task force members went out to the property in an effort to see if there was anyone there. While at the property, they got no response at the door, and they observed what they believed was a freshly disturbed area of dirt in the yard or the curtilage area around the residence. They came back and reported that, and we got a search warrant for the residence and the property.
Well, can you trace back this gun?
I'm sorry, one at a time.
Very similar question.
He said one at a time. Bama, thank you for the super sticker. Bama said, these teen deaths can actually change lives of victims in that area. All law enforcement has to do is cell phone dumps and DNA testing. It's that easy. Yeah, if they took everything to the crime labs in Tulsa or Oklahoma City, for real, they could. They definitely could. And there's two separate systems in Oklahoma. Just like there's a hospital for me, and then there's a hospital because I don't have any Indian blood in me. And then there's hospitals, like if you go to Claremore, there's the Claremore Indian Hospital. There's Indian hospitals. So that is separate. So as far as a database for any missing Native American women in this state, that would be separate. Now, sometimes it will bleed over, but it's not usual.
Have you traced back this gun, and how did McFadden get the gun, and what kind of firearm was it?
We did conduct an e-trace on the firearm. It was a 9mm handgun, and it was purchased in January of 2022 by Holly McFadden.
When you were talking about disturbed dirt, are you talking about graves, for lack of a better way to put it?
That's what the concern was when it was observed. We have since discovered that the property owner, who is not the McFaddens were renting. The property owner had cleaned out a horse pen and had dumped that debris there.
So they didn't see a body and then back out?
No.
There weren't graves dug or anything?
No.
Do we believe he
Did
executed
McFadden
them?
leave a note?
I'm sorry?
Did McFadden leave a note?
No note was found.
Do we believe that he executed them?
I don't know that I would use the term executed. I believe that McFadden shot all of the other decedents.
So the victims have any defensive wounds or anything?
I didn't observe any. I haven't had any reported to me from the medical examiner's office, but I would caution.
Thank you for catching that, Wist. So the landlord was active on the property because he just cleaned out the horse pen. He had just cleaned out the horse pen. So yes, he has been on the property. Has he been in the house? I don't know. Mind of Monsters says the FBI website has native missing list and MMIW sites will have a way to filter Oklahoma missing indigenous. Yes, they do. Yes, they absolutely do. 100%.
You and remind you that this information is extremely preliminary.
Any other trauma to the body?
One at a time.
Overall, what do you make of the situation? Family members tell us they believe this person planned this. What do you make of this? I'm guessing you've never dealt with anything like this before.
Several questions there. I follow the evidence, all right? And the evidence is that Jesse McFadden murdered 6 people and then killed himself. Beyond that, I don't know what his thought process was. Whether he planned this, and if he did, how long, I don't have any evidence to base an opinion one way or the other on that.
Was anyone tied up?
No.
Was there any other apparent trauma to the bodies other than these gunshot wounds?
None that I observed, but again, it's really early, and I haven't gotten anything from the medical examiner.
Chief, there was a text message sent to Ivy's parents Sunday night that was odd, they said. Do we believe that was sent by Jesse?
I'm not sure I know what text message you're talking about, so I can't comment intelligently.
Were there any signs of a fight?
I didn't observe any, no.
What's your theory of motive?
I don't think I want to speculate. I'm not gonna express a theory because again, I follow the evidence and I don't have any evidence to indicate what the actual motive was. And I'm going to be honest with you folks. Normal people that understand care, love, compassion wouldn't understand if I could come up with it anyway.
Chief, what kind of impact does this have on law enforcement? I mean, this is now 2 weirdly similar cases that you've had to deal with in just the last 6 months.
Law enforcement is pretty resilient, and we know what we signed up for, and we play the hand that's dealt us. So when we get a call, we go. And with regard to how anyone is responding to it since the event, I don't have any indication that anybody's having any difficulties. We are conducting the follow-up investigation, which is doing some cleanup interviews and documenting everything that we discovered, just like we do in any other case.
Have you heard from other parents, other teenagers? We heard possibly that more teenagers were invited.
I don't have any information along those lines. That's first I've heard of it.
Do we think he planned this?
I don't know.
Do we know if they were doing anything when the killings happened, like an activity of some sort outside?
Wasn't anything obvious.
Do you think he acted alone?
Don't have any evidence to indicate that there was anybody else involved.
Other than McFadden's rape conviction and his pending trial performance charges, did he have any more recent run-ins with law enforcement that would act as warning signs?
Not that I'm aware of. Absent his lengthy prison sentence and his Muskogee County case.
How well did you know this person? Was he on the sex offender registry? Is this someone?
Are we talking about Jesse McFadden? I personally did not know him. My understanding is he was a registered sex offender and was up to date on his registration.
So you guys had no.
Okay, that's what KJRH is saying too. He is on the registry and he was up to date. My question is, did he give the address to the house in Henrietta or another one? Because if someone had come to that address to check on him, they would have seen this. They would have seen this, because they come inside the house, and they would have seen children around him. That's my question. What was the address?
No prior calls to this house before this incident?
My agency would not have had any. The task force doesn't, as a matter of business, take calls for service. I would defer to the sheriff with that, and I would say that I am unaware of any others.
Chief, you said all the victims suffered gunshot wounds to the head. Did they come from the back or the front?
Some were to the side of the head, some were in the back of the head. There were injuries in the front of the head. So I would defer to the medical examiner for a firm answer on that. The short answer is I don't know for sure.
I know you're unsure of what exactly had happened. Is there any reason to believe that he did this and then waited a while and then killed himself later on?
Again, I follow the evidence. I don't have any evidence to indicate that. Anything is possible.
Do you have any time, how long do you think they were at that residence when they were gone all weekend and showed up that Monday? Do you have any idea how long they were?
My understanding is the girls were friends with Tiffany, who lived at the residence, and were allowed to go and spend the night with her on Saturday, and were supposed to come home Sunday. And when they didn't, they were reported missing. Beyond that, I don't have any information.
What were the ages of all the victims?
Bear with me. I knew there was a document I needed to bring with me. Tiffany was 13. Michael was 15. Riley was 17. Ivy was 14. Brittany was 16. Holly was 35, and Jesse McFadden was 39.
Just to confirm, the three, Riley, Tiffany, and Michael were all Holly's kids, not Jesse's.
That is my understanding, yes.
So these are his stepkids.
Yes.
And
Did he make any recordings on his phone of his deeds or try to post anything to social media that you can determine?
We recovered one phone from the residence that we believe is Holly's. We recovered pieces of a phone from a wooded area quite a ways from the residence. We do not know who it belonged to. If that's not his phone, we haven't located his phone.
Any other significant pieces of evidence other than those phones, the guns, and of course, the bodies?
We took some other evidence, but nothing I'm willing to comment on.
Is there any indicator that any of the victims were drugged or anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
This makes me so mad. Is there any indication that any of them were drugged? Not that I'm aware of. Are you kidding me? Did you look inside the house? Did you look inside the house? What did I miss? Geraldine, welcome. Where is Geraldine? I put the link for Geraldine. Did you look inside the house? What do you mean there's no indication? I'm no Inspector Clouseau, but I can put all this together. We're glad you're here, Geraldine. Welcome.
4 family members being found together, did they appear to be sleeping?
Without going into a lot of detail, that scene appeared to be staged to me. And that is my opinion based on what I observed.
Staged as in the bodies?
I don't want to go into details. I think the bodies had been moved from where they were originally killed.
Were they all found outside?
Yes.
Okay.
But they weren't killed at the same time. I mean, some were killed at one occasion and then just given the distance you're talking about and traveled somewhere else.
Well, there's no way we can know with certainty, but logic tells me that some were killed in an area 400 to 450 yards away from others. So yeah, there would have been some space of time there. Yes, sir.
Yes. Are you certain about McFadden's sex offender registry status? We attempted to look him up and didn't find him there.
I am certain of what I've been told. I have not checked it myself.
Are you certain of Brittany Brewer's age? I was told by your father that she was 15.
No, I am not certain. That information was provided to me early on. I made a note of it, and I am not 100% certain.
I spoke with a former victim of his who was set to testify against him and the trial he was supposed to be on Monday. And he sent her text messages or Facebook messages the night previous. Have you spoken with her? Do you know anything about those messages?
We've received copies of those text messages. He did make contact with her, and I don't think it was a text message. I think it was a Facebook Messenger message, and tried to lay blame for his situation on her.
So do you believe that the killings happened prior or after those massacres?
I don't have any way to know that.
You're the district attorney, correct? And
That's
this person was supposed to have a jury trial Monday?
That was in Muskogee County, correct?
Is that your
No.
jurisdiction?
No, I'm Oklahoma and McIntosh.
Those text messages were blaming the victim for what he had done to Lisa.
No. My interpretation of the Facebook Messenger messages that I read was he was blaming her for his situation with the criminal case in Muskogee County.
Why is Oklahoma police on this instead of Henrietta?
Well, first of all, the scene was outside of the city limits of either Henrietta or Okmulgee and would fall under the jurisdiction of the sheriff's office. Okmulgee Police is involved because we are part of, and I in fact command, the District 25 Violent Crime Task Force, which conducts violent crime investigations in both Okmulgee and McIntosh County.
Again, with the timeline, I'm sorry, I know you don't have a lot of details, but can you give us an idea of how far apart these killings could be, or if they all happened at once?
I don't have any way to base any speculation on to give you a realistic timeline other than the distance between where the bodies were discovered. It could have happened in quick succession, or there could have been a significant amount of time between them. There's just absolutely no way for us to know.
I know you mentioned it already, but I'm just trying to get clarification. Can you explain again where the bodies were found and how close they were? It kind of sounds like maybe 3 were found close together and then the other 4 were found like 2 different groups.
Yes, that's correct. From the McFadden residence, which is probably 100 yards off the road, approximately a quarter mile south and east of the residence, there is a creek. And the creek is within a tree line, but just barely. Ivy was found on the west side of that creek, approximately 100 to 150 yards away. Brittany was found. Approximately another 100 to 150 yards away, Riley was found, and they were both on the east side of the creek. Then the other 4 decedents were all found together approximately another quarter mile more east than south, but southeast of where the 3 girls were found in a heavily wooded area.
So they were found further away.
Yes.
Chief, what kind of impact does a tragedy like this have on the community?
Well, part of the problem that the community suffers with something like this is everybody wants to understand why. And like I said before, normal people can't understand why.
No, we don't need to understand why. We understand how the devil works. What we want to know is what are you doing? And we don't need the file. We don't need the evidence. Are you going to find the other victims? This is not a open and closed case. There is way more going on here. There's way more going on. We understand evil. We just don't prescribe to it.
People that perpetrate crimes like this are evil. And normal folks like us can't understand why they do that. So I think that besides the emotional trauma that people suffer because of the realization of what happened to these young kids, trying to figure out why is a challenge they'll never get past.
Was there anybody at the scene before all this happened that you've been able to determine who wasn't killed, or everybody who was there?
I have no evidence that anyone was at the scene leading up to the murders that was not killed.
Do you have any information? Was his residence search, probation, parole? Was he in compliance, et cetera?
I don't have any information at all along those lines.
Were the bodies found with clothing or normal?
All bodies were closed.
I know I think this was asked, so I'm just gonna ask again in case. I mean, 6 people to shoot and kill. Do you think that the 3 girls maybe were trying to run away? Any indicator that anyone tried to run away? That just seems like so many people to try and do that to without someone getting away.
You're having the same difficulty that we have trying to figure out exactly what happened, because all we have is where the bodies were positioned and the injuries to them to try to indicate what happened. And there's just no way to know.
And do you think that this was planned or spontaneous?
No way to know that.
And what is the district attorney's role in this? Now that
This is my task force.
okay.
It's been reported Jesse McFadden was going to go to McAllister. Do you have any, before this happened, do you have an indication that actually happened, or he was not seen, or any evidence of that?
Based on information that we have available to us currently, we don't think they ever went to McAllister.
How did you all figure out that they didn't ever go to McAllister?
The property in McAllister belongs to Jesse McFadden's family members, and we interviewed them, and they were cooperative and told us that they had never come down there. They hadn't come down there that weekend.
Were there any security or gaming cameras on the property that possibly could have captured anything?
Not that I've been made aware of.
Do you know when he dropped the car to his neighbor? I mean, when was the last sighting of him?
I believe he was sighted in Henrietta proper Saturday night. When I can't tell you when he dropped the car or why. Anything I tell you be a guess. All right, folks. I really appreciate your time. Thank you. And
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
I'm sorry. Typically when there's homicides, murders, someone goes on trial. This someone is now deceased. What's next in this investigation to figure out what happened to bring families closure? What's next?
we have been in contact with the families and have shared information. In fact, we met with the families today prior to this press conference to give them the information that we gave you all, so they would hear it from us and not from the news media. Again, there are questions that will never get answered because the only people that know are no longer here.
We got that part. We know that you can't interview Jesse. We know that. We know you can't ask Holly what was up that day. But you have tons of stuff in the house you can investigate. What's up, AJ?
Hello, Brooks. How are you?
I'm doing good, girlfriend.
Good, good, good. Oh my God. This is a huge mess. A huge mess.
It's a huge mess. Thank goodness the OSBI is taking it over.
Yep. You telling me that that mother didn't know what's going on in her own house? Come on.
Of course
That's a load of shit.
How did she not notice this, AJ?
Exactly. Exactly.
How did she
As
not?
they say, you're the queen of your own home. You do the cleaning and the whatever, and she doesn't know about that. Come on.
How did she
What a load of rubbish.
do these things?
She knew everything. I won't be surprised if she was in it.
Oh, she definitely was. I think she was part of the grooming process. I mean, the ledger with the names in it was in her handwriting.
Yeah. And I think that's why the kids wanted to be adopted to go to the stepfather.
Well, I don't think that was ever going to happen because it doesn't take 10 years to adopt a child.
Yeah.
You see, the ex of hers, he's a pretty basic person that doesn't that he just listens to everything she says. But
yeah.
She fell to the charms.
Yep. This is very sad, and I have a funny feeling there is more story. There's definitely a lot of higher ups involved in this. Why would the police just say, "Oh, we've done everything"? Excuse me, you've done everything? I don't think so.
Well, my question is, why would they leave that all behind if they're covering something up? See, that's what I'm confused about. If people walked into and they're like, we were just told to search the property. We got the bodies. It's a murder suicide. We're done. Okay, that's one thing. Then if they're trying to cover something up, you would take everything out of the house. There wouldn't be phones, electronics, dildos made for horses. There wouldn't be hook and eyes in the wall. There wouldn't be restraints. There wouldn't be anything like that. So, I mean, are they dumb? Or did they want someone else to do their work? I don't know. Oh, we lost AJ. And there's got to be more victims. They came across underwear that could fit OJ with fluids on it. Dried blood. Ugh.
Brooks, can you hear me?
Yes, you're back.
Oh, thank God for that. It's my phone. I just got a new phone, you see.
Lone Wolf, thank you for the super sticker. Lone Wolf said when they released the crime scene, they had no intention of finding the answers. And that's 100% true. This has Delphi vibes. The amount of electronics alone speaks volumes. And that is all 150,000% true. My question is, why did you leave all that stuff in the house? You were just going to let it sit and get thrown away and just be done with it?
Laziness, sloppiness, or they didn't care because they wanted to, well, he's dead, they're dead. Okay, close the case. Everything's done.
That's basically what they said. Dead is dead.
Yeah.
We can't get answers out of them.
Well, that's sloppiness because, you know, when they found that kid's clothing with, you know, that fluid, that's really bad. Because there was no kids in there. So how can that be?
Not that size anyway. Not that size.
Exactly. So there's more to this, and it's really, really sad. It's really sad. And I think, unfortunately, the parents of Holly and the sister or whatever, they have to look into what she was into, because they can't say she wasn't in it.
Not at all.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's horrible to hear that she's passed and everything, but wake up. You know, you live in that home. She lived in that home. She's a mother. She knew everything. And plus, she was pen pals with this guy in jail and blah, blah, blah. My God. It's just, the things are coming out. It's just shocking.
Oh, it's a huge, huge shock. I mean, this right here. It says it right here. What happened here is a national embarrassment. OSBI agent spotted at crime scene in Henrietta. This
Yep.
is not how this goes down. This was agents with the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation were spotted gathering evidence at the crime
Yep.
scene where the horrific murders of 6 people, 5 children took place. There is no doubt this was a house of horrors, said Cameron Spaulding, the attorney for one of the murder victims' families. So they're already intending to sue because they have attorneys speaking out.
Yep. Yep. I tell you, this can make a bloody horror movie the way this stuff is coming out. My God.
Yeah.
I mean, this is for 2023. This is a shocker.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I'll love you and leave you, Brooks, because I'm shocked. And I'll let anyone else to come in.
I know.
And thank you for talking to me.
Anytime, my friend. I'm glad that you came
Okay, Brooks.
in a while.
I know, I know. Bye-bye. You take care.
Always good to talk to AJ. I'm going to put the link up again if anybody wants to come up. This is atrocious. Geraldine says, then you saw drugs and just left it there? It doesn't make sense. You just left it there. I mean, you can't say it's a cover-up when you just left everything there. You left the electronics. You left the needles. You left the elephant-sized dildo. You left the locks. You left the chains. You left the Velcro. You left it all there and just said it's a murder-suicide. There's nothing we can do. Did you not think anything about the names written down? Did that concern you? They didn't even need a warrant to go into the house because when you have a well check visit for a child, you don't have to have a warrant. You have to have sight on that child. I mean, of course, you're going to knock on the door. But if you believe that there's a child in there in danger, you don't have to have a warrant. So there's no warrant for the house. We know where they found the bodies. They believe it was staged. Did you call the ATF about the paraphernalia? I promise you didn't. Because they would have been all over that. Like stink on shit. You couldn't have gotten away from it. Ridiculous. I mean, it is ridiculous. And so when they're like, it's a national embarrassment, it is. It is. Sometimes when you come across one crime, you might actually come across 5. Considering this raggedy bunch, and I mean Holly and Jesse. I'm not talking about the kids. And that DA is weak. Weak. I can't stand her. Hello, Glenda. How are you, honey?
Hi. How are you? I'm fine.
You are just beautiful. How are you doing today?
Oh, thank you. I'm fine. Just fine. Just watching you guys.
Well, what are you thinking?
Oh, I'm thinking there's a lot going on that LE needs to be investigated.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy that these kids were involved in this, and they never talked about it to anyone.
Well, and my question is too, which they're not going to tell me. I'm the last to know. Wouldn't law enforcement talk to school counselors, kids at school? Did you ever hear anything odd going on with this circle of friends?
Yes. Yes, because the kids were so involved in school, you could tell their sport pictures. They seem to be living pretty good life, but kids talk. And I would say that they might have invited the other kids over using the drugs and all the other stuff, and they just got caught up in something that they couldn't get out of.
Well, and that being said, part of the grooming process, which is a federal offense, you have Holly, who was using her own children to bait other children in. They have to keep a good front.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're going to be involved. They're going to have all these things going on. One of the victims was in pageants.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
See, that they're way too much involved in their community for something to not have gotten out.
Oh, I agree.
It's just a tragedy.
It absolutely is. And, we can't explain tragedies, but what, we can do is get to the bottom of it. And that's what I was hoping they would do. Snazzy just sent this to me. Cops left behind bloody kids' clothes, bones on Oklahoma sex offender Jesse McFadden's property, family says. Now, I heard about everything else, and people keep talking about the bones, but I couldn't find any article on it because locally they're not reporting it. But it says police who investigated the Oklahoma property where a sex offender gunned down his wife and 5 teens before killing himself last week failed to find bloody clothes, bones, and other horrifying things, in quotes, at the scene, one grieving relative said this week. The gruesome findings littered the Henrietta property after convicted artist Jesse McFadden killed Holly, her 3 children, and 2 teenage friends before turning the gun on himself. Nothing can prepare anyone for what we had to find. Wyatt said she and other traumatized relatives came across bloody children's clothes, a mysterious ledger, binders of disturbing pictures, and other objects. We found bones. We found other things. The other family members came. The police came. We found a lot of horrifying things. Well, where were the bones found?
Yeah.
Wyatt said she also found Velcro restraints in the house, but a police officer told her to throw them away because the house was no longer an active crime scene. Footage from inside. Oh my God. Footage from inside McFadden's home shows restraints attached to the wall behind what looks like mattress on the floor.
Wow. What about their family members? I just can't imagine a family member not ever stopping by, periodically to just walk in and go, whoa, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah. Did no one ever go to visit?
Yeah.
Did the aunt never go by? I'm assuming she didn't, but that's really not out of the ordinary for a setup like this because you're going to keep things under wraps, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Someone's always going to come to the door and be sick, or someone's going to say, oh, no, we were just heading out. Good to see you.
Yeah. that's what I was thinking. Like, nobody ever just stopped by and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And all that stuff was just sitting out there. And you just go, "Oh, well, it's just a normal party house, right?"
I got another name for it. My God.
Holy cow. I don't think
Um,
I've seen a case like this online that just hit a community with so many teenagers.
No. No. Nope. The whole thing is sickening to me, my friend.
Yep. Well, I better get off. I just wanted to try this out.
All right. Well, you know how to do it now.
Okay. God bless you. Have
Thank
a good
you,
day.
gorgeous. All right.
Bye-bye.
Sweet Insanity said trying to normalize pedo is coming. Yes, it is. There's a couple of states that are trying to consider it a mental illness. They want pedophilia to be listed as a mental illness. Well, Jesse was more than ill. Jesse is disgusting. And while people keep trying to tell me that Holly is a victim too and he groomed her, well, he didn't know her address when he was in the pokey. She wrote him letters. She sought him out. You see, she's sick in the head. Or was. Space Cake said Holly is not a victim. She's a victim of murder. I'll give her that. But what led up to it? No, she was no victim. She wasn't groomed. She fell to his charms, her mother said. No, she didn't. If you really want to know the truth, she charmed him. It's quite the other way around. Not saying he's not a sick ticket, because he is. He's one of the worst of the worst. I'm sure hell is not treating him too nice right now. And then again, using children to lure other children in. See, kids don't like to hang around adults. They don't. But the way these people bring other kids in is they use children. My goodness, OJ, what is wrong with you? All in all, I will say this. Oklahoma is a wonderful, wonderful state. I'm born and raised here. So when you hear things like this, of course, you're going to hear about tornadoes and football. But when you hear about things like this, it's not the rest of us. Trust me. Because we're all retching right now. We're furious that this went on. The national embarrassment is on Mulgee County. It truly is. And I am just furious this happened. Peas, you're right. Had she survived, she'd be a victim right now. If she had survived, she would be a victim right now. Hey, RJ, what's up? Bama said, was the stepson dating anyone? Would they have any idea, or the girl's best friends? Well, I guess they would if Mulgee County would have investigated, but they just said there was nothing they could do. There was no one to talk to because they're all dead. The chief said, dead is dead. But now the OSBI is going to get to the bottom of it. They were already involved, but if you have a competent local law enforcement, they let them take the lead and they're like, whatever you need, let us know. And then they realized that they weren't doing what they're supposed to do, and so they came in and they took it over. And Oklahoma is one of the only states where your state bureau can take over. As you know, like in the Summer Wells case, people say all the time, when is TBI going to take over? They can't, because their government in that state is not set up that way. There's other states, now like the Texas Rangers, they don't F around. They can take over. So thank God for the OSBI. They were like, what the hell is going on? Hey, Brian, what's up, my friend? All right, guys, I'm going to start closing it down because, like I said, Oklahoma is a gorgeous, gorgeous state. You would love it. You got to come visit. There's lots of things to see. But let me tell you what, you can't judge the rest of us for what has been going on in Okmulgee County. No.